Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Headbuck Outdoors. Today I'm going to be doing a quick little ammunition review over the CCI 30 grain VMAX 22 Magnum ammunition. That's a mouthful, but we're going to get into it. I'm going to give you some of my specs and some of my thoughts on the caliber for varmint hunting, for plinking, whatever. But let's get into it. I'm going to look off to my left at my notes, so excuse me for that. Like I said, this is the CCI 30 grain Hornady VMAX. So basically it is CCI brass, CCI powder, primer, whatever, and they just use Hornady VMAX projectiles. Hornady also makes a product with the VMAX. It's just the Hornady VMAX. Might be like their varmint special or something. I can probably throw a picture up at the end of this if you guys would like. Anyway, some of the specs. CCI advertises this stuff as a muzzle velocity of 2200. I'm pretty sure that's out of a 16 to 18 inch barrel. This rifle behind me here has a 21 inch barrel. So if you have a chronograph or whatever the hell the thing is that you measure velocity with, you can probably see if that's accurate or not. I've known CCI to be pretty reliable when it comes to their specifications for the ammo, so I would tend to trust that, but that's just me. Check your local listings, research yourself. The BC for this projectile, it is 22 max. I don't think BC really matters that much since you're not going to be stretching this out past 200 in most cases. But the BC is 0.116 for those of you who are so inclined. The polymer tip of the VMAX ammunition, let me take a second to show you. Brand new box of this stuff. Lends itself quite well to semi-flat shooting, especially for the 22 caliber, which is more just like a close range firearm, as you can see that. They advertise it as a varmint slash plinking round, which is, I would say, pretty accurate. The velocity at the muzzle, this is a comparison. They have a chart on their website, CCI does. At the muzzle, it is 2200, 50 yards, 1866, and 100 yards, 1571. Now, this is really interesting. The reason being, typical muzzle velocity of 22 long rifle, so the little brother of this guy right here, is 1500 feet per second, thereabouts, right? So you're looking at, this stuff is like made for 100-yard shooting, prairie dogs, squirrels, raccoons, you name it. You're looking at the same amount of velocity at 100 yards that you get at the muzzle with a 22 long rifle. So that's something that's cool to think about. Now, the energy, so the foot-pounds of energy that this particular round produces is 30 grain. I have found ammunition as low as 25 grain all the way up to 55 grain for this. I think 30 to 40 grain is probably the sweet spot for this stuff, but you know, that's up to you to decide. The muzzle energy is 322 foot-pounds. This is awesome because a 22 long rifle, at most, with some of the hot stuff like CCI mini mag, you're looking at like 160, 180 for 22 long rifle, and you're basically essentially almost doubling that with 22 Magnum. Now, for 50 yards, you drop down to 232, so you lose about 90 foot-pounds of energy. So if you're within 50 yards and you take a shot at something, you're going to be right around the 280, 300 foot-pounds of energy, which is very, very nice. I mean, you're looking at like basic 9mm foot-pounds of energy, obviously difference in terminal ballistics and expansion, all that, but the point still remains relative same amount of energy. And at 100 yards, you are looking at 164 foot-pounds. So that's pretty interesting. That's just some stuff from the website. I'm going to go into my own thoughts about it. Hornady ammunition, I have literally never had an issue with. I've never had a single malfunction, I think. I believe in their products. They're made in the Midwest where I'm from, so I'll support them. I will say, this does look like very clean brass. Loaded very well, something that I have been looking at when I've been buying ammunition the last 2 years with the state of things, is the QC measures for a lot of companies. Remington, Hornady has been in there too. I know Winchester, Federal too. They've had some piss poor quality ammunition, but CCI, at least the batch that I got 2 boxes of this stuff from a local shop where I live, and it seems to be pretty good. Now, rimfire ammunition in and of itself has never been particularly reliable, especially in autoloaders like 22 LR, but 22 Magnum I've never really had a problem. I think 22 Magnum suits itself well to being shot out of a rifle. They do make some defensive loads for pistols now, but for a rifle I think is where it really shines. Prairie dogs, especially if you live in the western part of the Midwest or like in Montana, Colorado with that, you know, prairie dog habitat. In the Midwest and the South where I grew up, raccoons. It's a great round for hunting raccoons. It's just the perfect amount. When 22, you might have to take a couple shots with this. It's just perfect, and you don't have to go overkill with maybe a bolt gun or an AR and 223. So I think this is like an optimal load for somebody who wants to stick somewhere in the middle. Say you don't do a lot of deer hunting, because I mean, let's be honest, deer season for rifle is probably 2 weeks to a month out of the year. But you might, I know in Missouri, rabbit, raccoon, squirrel season was like 6 to 8 months out of the year. So it was really cool, allows a lot of versatility. And especially in a rifle like this, you got a 21-inch barrel. It's pretty much like a bull barrel, I will assure you. It's loaded, unloaded. And so you put an optic on this thing, you can reach out and touch a prairie dog or a raccoon at 100 yards. So definitely a great option. That's where I think 22 Magnum does the best. It's like the perfect middle ground between 22 LR and 223 Remington. That's pretty much why it was developed. I'm not the biggest fan of 17 HMR. I think it's a little bit wimpy of a round. I'd stick with 22 Mag, but that's just me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video over the CCI Hornady VMAX 30 grain. Again, that's a mouthful. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please have a fantastic